Okay, I think I've got this up and going. So I'm just going to jump right in. If you made it to this link, you either found us on a story that said, hey, if you want to learn more about what the heck this means, please click the link, or your feed said, hey, you really should engage with this based on your interest, or who else cares how you made it here? Thanks for making it here. We like to make things as sustainable, quick, fast, easy to get into the information. So we're not going to do a long introduction at all. If you want to learn more about what we do, how we do it, why we got into M&A, we have a whole series about it and some other shorts that you can look at as well. So I'm just going to dive right in and just say my name is Bianca. I am the co-founder and a managing partner here at Prospera Ventures. We look at all kinds of businesses every day to acquire, and hopefully one day that'll be yours because you're looking to exit your business or maybe just grow very drastically in the near future. So without further ado, I am going to share my screen and just get right into this. So bear with me. I have not done this very often. Here we go. Now you can see my screen. So first thing we're touching base on is what the heck does this tip mean? So the tip that went out on social was start acquiring assets. And that sounds awesome, right? Like, cool, let me start acquiring assets. What the fuck, Bianca? So assets, if anyone is in business or real estate or any kind of investor, right? Assets aren't meant to take money from you. They sometimes take money to actually get the assets, but they should be building you and or your business for value in some capacity. So let's think equipment, IP, having multiple locations if you are storefront, or having other businesses. Imagine that, because those can be assets as well. And if it's not giving you value, then it's more of a liability. It's taking away from you. I'm not going to go into all the nuances and business structure and lingo on this call, but feel free to look any of that up. Why does this matter to you and or your business? Well, it can increase your value. If you're using the assets properly to build your business, then it should increase your value very easily and seamlessly. It can help you grow and scale. Assets aren't there, again, to take away from you. They're here to build value, make things easier, make things better, more efficient. And with that said, they are there to support the teams and the systems that you hopefully already have. The more businesses you have or the more assets you have, there's a way where these can share resources. So let's say you have a shared sales team, for instance, instead of having one salesperson, and maybe you'll have one salesperson regardless, but instead of having multiple sales teams, you have an overarching sales team that understands each of the different business aspects that you're trying to approach. So there's the what, there's the why. Now, how is this possible? How do you know that your business can do this, can sustain this, is ready for it before you move forward? Now, on the tip, we shared that there's a way to get assets via vertical or horizontal integration or acquisition, because one of the things we look at in M&A is growth via acquisition. So I have a handy dandy Excel sheet for us to look at and pretty much just share how this works and whether or not you're ready for this. So I'm probably moving too fast for some and maybe too slow for others. So I'm going to take a beat. Let me take a drink of water. I wrote up a scenario of a business. These yellow fields are ones that I had put inputs, and then the others are formulas based on how formulas work in a P&L. So in this business, you can see we are making $4.5 million in revenue. Obviously, that's probably not a zero across, but again, scenario. Cost of goods are approximately 2.2. So we've got a gross profit of approximately 2.3. Then we've got admin, internet, utilities, etc. that goes into the business for SG&A, and we're at about 950K. Again, these are made up numbers, so bear with me. Then we've got the operating income. So we're at 1.35. What a good business. We're making money. We love it. Now, this is where you see a lot of different M&A folks saying which number do you use when you're doing valuations? Is it revenue? Is it EBITDA? Is it the cash flow, right? Cash flow statements are a completely different thing than what we're looking at here. But in this instance, I'm just going to show you the EBITDA version where you have interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. And in this scenario, I'm saying this business approximately has 450K of just the IDA in the EBITDA. Now, to get earnings before that number, we would then add it back to this net operating income. You see how that formula works? We've got this one plus this equals earnings before we pay any of that interest, tax, and depreciation. So we're at 1.8. It's a solid freaking business. Now, if we wanted to look at what it would be after the ITA, because I think that is also important to note, because regardless of your business, you're going to have to pay taxes. You won't always have interest, depreciation, or amortization, but I like to look at it just as a side-by-side number. If you have your own financial person, they're looking at numbers the way that they want to, and hopefully talking to you about what that looks like. So for reference, this is where we're at. Pretty healthy business. If you have an LLC, you're probably not even paying yourself from SG&A. You're probably taking dividends. So let's say you're taking $15,000 out of the business each month. That's a nice salary, quote unquote, of 180K if we're looking at it after this interest, tax, depreciation, amortization. You still have 720K to play with, which is awesome. Especially if this number goes down because maybe this was a heavy tax year or heavy depreciation year. So wanted to show this side because what's hidden on this side is where we really open up that gap of how do I execute this for my business? First rule of thumb, you should probably be profitable. So if you're sitting here looking at your own profit and loss, and maybe I should throw that up here, profit and loss statement, and for some reason you're not seeing positive numbers, like let's say your operating income is very, very low or negative, you can't really pay yourself, you're going to have a really hard time going and acquiring assets without some kind of something stopping you, right? Whether it's personal guarantee, putting your house on the line. This happens a lot with small businesses because there's only so much they can pull out of the business when it comes to value if you're going for something like a bank loan. So let's uncover here and talk through these fun gaps. Ooh, so exciting. Ready for the reveal? Oh. Okay, now let's just walk through each of these separately. In this scenario, I am essentially saying there is an existing loan of 150K for this business. Now ignore this to begin with. We're going to take that 150K over here. And we're going to take, in this instance, actually, I think I had it. I think I changed it. Let's take it from EBITDA. If we're going to take it from EBITDA, divided by that, let's say it has to be paid in the year. Do you have enough money and earnings in your business to pay that off this year? In this instance, your cover ratio is 12. You could pay this off 12-fold, right? If you wanted to, like I had the formula before here, you're still super positive 6, right? Now, the reason we're looking at this this particular formula is because you need to know how much you'll have left after you're paying some kind of loan down that you are potentially financing for these assets. So we look at this formula. Now, I made this little note here so you could see that banks, especially in this smaller business range, so I think SBA scale, will target anywhere between 1.15 to maybe as high as 1.14. And I say high, although that's the lowest you'll want to hit, depending on the bank you're working with when it comes to this cover ratio. So easily passes with flying colors on this one. We, in particular, look at businesses that usually have a pretty high CapEx, which is just capital expenditure, which means, let's say we have a giant machine and it needs yearly maintenance or quarterly maintenance, or if it broke, we would have to spend $1 million right out of the gate in order to fix that. That's a lot of money. So we target a higher debt cover ratio for this one. Now, we're going to play with these numbers so that you can see it in action. Um, Going back to this loan here, the reason I added this years and yearly amount is what if you had to pay this over 5 years instead of paying it in 1 year, right? We would be pulling this number, which gives us a amazing debt cover ratio as well. So, what I'm going to do now, though, is play. So, let's say you want to go finance. I'd love to say equipment, but we're in the M&A business. So we're going to say you're going to go buy a business. And this business is going to cost you at least $2 million. Whopping $2 million. You can see a lot of things changed here out the gate. I already have it set up to be paid over 5 years. So right out of the gate, let's go back to just using EBITDA. We're at a 4.1819 cover ratio. That's still really good. Now, seeing it drop that much probably scared you, like, oh my gosh, I was at 12 before. Don't worry, you are still healthy because you can pay this 430 every year off as long as you are either sustaining your business or growing your business, because those earnings should just be coming back to you. Now, where I had it before, where we were doing it after interest, tax, and depreciation, we are still over 2 cover ratio. This is really good to know because the more you get into the nitty gritty, or let's say the more you want to pay yourself, the more you want to bring in admin, right? These things tweak over time. You want to understand what that's going to do to your number. Now, let's say, because we want to get fancy with it, this business required an upfront down payment, right? This person's like, no, I need to know you got skin in the game because this happens a lot, right? So this company said, you can buy me out over 5 years, $2 million. We're not even going to talk interest to keep it simple, but I want $250K down. So let's change up this model. And actually, this doesn't even include the 450. So let's play here. We're going to do the yearly amount is going to take the existing loan, new loan, both over 5 years. But we're going to add another loop. See how that changed? You now have a cover ratio of 1.32, but remember, this is after interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. So whether or not you're curious on what that ratio is, you'd be at 132, which is still technically comfortable even for a bank with usually pretty high, strict guardrails for you. If we want to go back and see what this does on EBITDA, you're at 2.6. You're still knocking it out of the park. Now, I want to show you something because technically, oops, what did I do there? Technically, this is only the first year. You would only be paying this amount the first year because it's a down payment. So what we need to do is take just that amount, the yearly amount, and go back. Oop, I needed B12. There we go. That's just the first year. So your first year, your debt cover ratio is going to drop quite a bit, right? But your second year, you don't have continuous down payments every year, right? So your cover ratio goes right back up. Easy peasy. So in this scenario, with this business making 4.5 million in revenue, decent margins, making 1.8 in EBITDA, they can sustain and I say loan, but some kind of financing. Someone coming in, it could be debt, it could be equity, if you want to give up equity, asset backed. There are all kinds of different loans out there, or a partner who has cash and wants to invest in you and your business. This business could go out and get $2 million with the $250K down payment and be able to sustain with a healthy cover ratio, as long, and I say this again, as long as it sustains the current business and or grows. Now, this model doesn't show you, if we bring on this business for $2 million, what profits they're making and what they're contributing to the bottom line across the board. So that is something to factor, because you shouldn't necessarily just be sustaining this business now. You should be sustaining both and being able to get both of those earnings. So hopefully your cover ratio goes up even a little bit more because you're still making profit and making money. Why? I go back to the question of like, why would we give this tip? Why would we share that you should go acquire assets? Because it's fun. It's fun to have tools and assets that you can play with that actually bring value. If you have anything that's taking away from your business, it's not going to help you. This model, even the most simplest one that I've outlined here, which was just me drawing it up in a few minutes, is showing you that if your business is profitable and you can comfortably put together the ideal, I'm going to say capital stack, the loan, the equity, your cover ratio, if you can do this sustainably, you can outgrow and surpass your competitors, other businesses. And I find it so fascinating. And it's not just because I love numbers, but it's because I love the quote unquote game and all of this. It's so fun to watch people succeed and get it done. So let me stop sharing. I told you I wanted to be quick. We are under 20 minutes. I feel so good about sharing all of these details and data points with you. If you find that you're like, I need to start executing on this right now or tomorrow, as quarter 2 comes along, because this is technically still March of 2026, then please reach out. Our email is info@weprospera.com. If you go to any of our pages, there's usually a scheduling link on Google. I can't put links in my description here because I'm not advanced enough on our YouTube page for it to allow me to. I have to go through all these little criteria things. But if you find that this is helpful, I encourage you to set up a call where we can actually go through your own personal numbers and P&L and come up with that strategy for you. So thanks for joining, and hopefully we see you soon.